I just got a kookaburra that landed right next to me who's looking at me like this. Standing alignment practice. I love that you took that video of yourself in which you were just standing in front of the camera, like looking how your body is aligning itself. And I'd like to offer you this practice where you start relatively close. Could be hip width. If you can, both feet together, maybe start hip width. Starting in a standing position in which you start leaning onto your right side, and you feel that connection with your right foot into the ground, knees, hips, shoulder, right half of your head in your face, with eyes closed, probably more potent. And then you start shifting your weight over into your left foot, and you start feeling left foot, left knee, left hip, left shoulder, left face, back into the right, just sensing these two body halves and sensing how there's this density of volume inside of yourself when you stack yourself on one side and then you stack yourself on the other side. Just playing with that shifting of weight. And with every time, like the pendulum, when you swing from one side to the other, you want to get closer and closer to that point where you find that perfect center where your weight is shifted equally on left or right. And this doesn't have to be the perfect center, it has to be the felt center where you feel like you're centered. Finding that central bound, like wiggling your way into that center, feeling the weight evenly distributed on your feet, on your knees, on your hips. And what you can do here is you start touching your hip bones, touching the front, touching the back, having your hands just in front where you have that bony bit on your hips. That's where you put your hands. And with a silent inhale, sending that breath into that area just behind your hands. It's something that you do with intent, not with force. You're not forcefully breathing into that area. You just send the intent breath travel here softly and silently. And just sensing how actually the tissue underneath your hands is moving. And try if you can find a sensation, something that's already happening within you. It's not something that you consciously create by contracting muscles. It's something that's already existing. Try if you can find, with that intentional breath into this area, that internal tendency along the backside of your body and your spine that wants to draw the body up towards the sky. There's a tendency within this field, once you start connecting with it with your breath, that wants to elongate and lengthen along the spine, while simultaneously when you exhale, everything is sinking into that heaviness into your feet, into that heaviness into your knees, into this heaviness of your pelvis. And as you inhale, that lightness, that tendency for our head and our crown to travel up with the inhale. As if your entire skeleton is made out of hot air that kind of wants to rise up. The skeleton is hot air that rises up. And all of the muscles and tissue on your body is like soft water trickling down from that rising skeleton. Inhale, the skeleton rises from the center of your hip. And exhale, all of the tissue just keeps pouring itself down into the heaviness in your legs, heaviness in your feet. Releasing everything that is not necessary for you to stand. Releasing everything that's not necessary for you to get that sense of lightness that draws you up and get that sense of heaviness that pours down. And staying connected with that intention of breath that travels into that lower center around your pelvis, and from which you grow into lightness up and you pour into heaviness down at the same time. You're not slouching, you're yielding into the lightness that goes up, and you're growing into the heaviness that pours you down. And with just following these cues, skeleton light, lift, tissue heavy and pour, breath soft and silent, exhale fully and release. These cues, feet are heavy, skeleton is light and up. Following these cues can help the nervous system and body start unwinding and unraveling itself. It's not something where you stand completely still and you don't move. It's something where when you allow, it's when you allow these sensations to arise. It's not something you do, it's something that is happening all the time. There might be a shifting back and forward again on the feet. You might be noticing that the body starts wiggling or changing its shape a little bit, and let it change. If your body sinks into like a weird position like this, just keep the intention set and allow it to just shift and move by itself. Standing like this for a couple of minutes can set you up to be really grounded and feel really light and losing all of the tension from the upper body and letting it sink into the lower body. And this is kind of like finding alignment in who and how you are already, rather than punching the exercise correctional strategies on top of it, which they are good, they have their place, but have that as your foundation of sensing while you go into the practice, into the corrective exercises. Play with it, don't judge it, just be it.